You know, on any given day, right, you can wake up and read something in the newspaper and say, you know what, I want to make something, I want to change that, or that's not right. I can think of 2 examples in the last month, right, where I woke up, had my cup of coffee. One was there was a church in North Hartford that I represent, and they are an historic building. They have a steeple that's widely seen when you go down Albany Avenue. It's a polling place, and they can't fix their roof. They cannot raise the money to fix their roof. It's about $1 million, given how old it is and architecturally unsound it is. And I said, you know what? I want to help them. And so when you're speaker, you can make a few phone calls, and before you know it, that church is not going to have a new roof. I get as much satisfaction sometimes on that, or helping one constituent get their health insurance bill reduced, or get health insurance coverage, or get housing assistance. I find as much satisfaction in that as I would even sometimes with bigger bills. So when Corey came in, right, Corey had quite a reputation down from Stamford, right? So he gave a speech at a church some years ago, and it got all the way up to me when I was majority leader, and I read about it, and he gave this roaring, talk to the congregation. And the hard part about that is Corey came in with a lot of expectations, and a lot of people sometimes aren't always sure what to think of you when you come in with a lot of expectations. It's like a talented freshman basketball player. The seniors sometimes look at the kid and go, he's gonna take my playing time, right? And what Corey has done is figured out, how do I get bills passed? How do I build relationships? And that's how you're gonna make meaningful, impactful change in the legislature. And so I think the way Corey's gonna help children, the way he's gonna help people in Stamford, Connecticut working families, is by building those relationships. And so there's somebody who came in and he had 2 choices. Sort of had this star power to him when he came up from Stamford. And he chose the path of, I'm gonna do it the right way. I'm gonna work with people, I'm gonna learn the ropes. And so his future is really, really bright because he can fall back on those relationships as he goes higher up in the legislature.
So my great-grandfather was a true inspiration, my great-grandmother, and the history of her family and how they came to freedom out of slavery. But I also think looking up to the great men and women who have been trailblazers throughout history has served as a real call to arms for me in my political and professional life. People like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Cesar Chavez. So I think that there's a lot of people that have served as role models, and certainly I think being 17 years old and watching President Obama ascend to the highest office politically and also become the leader of the free world was inspirational, because it showed that young black men like me who are often discounted as being part of the future in these spaces. You didn't have to just be behind the scenes. You could be in front of the scenes to be the person raising the charge on so many pivotal issues of our time. That was life-changing. It's important to engage young people in policy and advocacy because young people are the future. Every big issue that has crossed paths with any generation throughout history has always been met with one mantra at the end. And that mantra is, that core belief system is, that we're doing this for the next generation. We're doing this for the young people so that they don't have to deal with or experience what we've experienced. I think what's most critical, in fact, what's most important, young people are leading the charge against gun violence, climate change, the understanding of how it's important for us to care for one another in terms of equity and health. Without them, we really will be doing ourselves a major disservice, and we won't be able to grow as a society the way that we hope to do. What excites me most about the future? I think what excites me most is that food insecurity amongst children and working families will be lower. I believe that we will invest in early childhood education to a point where the emotional and social learning aspects of a human being, just by fabric of us making that investment, will change for the better. I believe that we can solve a crisis where we don't have mass shootings anymore, that you can send your child off to school and know that they'll come back home on that bus later on, safe and sound. I think that we will be able to ensure that no matter the job, regardless of academic attainment, there will be a real aspect and sense of dignity behind the job that every man, woman, and child in this world will be able to get, so that they can go home and know that they're providing best for their family. I believe that we can solve any big issue that we have by sheer notion that we're giving opportunities to people to make up for themselves and define what the future is for themselves and for their counterparts. I believe that starts right here. Every day I wake up, every morning I think about the issues that are really the focus of the work that we're doing right now in session, the values, the convictions that we hold, the reason why we run for public office, the reason why we work in education, the reason why we want to inspire young people. That comes from waking up every morning to say to ourselves, this is what I'm committed to. This is the charge that I'm going to keep, because our future depends on it. And that's what makes me most excited about our future, is that everyone has a stake in making it better than our past. And we can get it right if we listen to one another, if we put ourselves in others' shoes, if we really commit ourselves to learning from one another. We can have the best future that any of us could have ever imagined.